Now I realise, of course, that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And if we go to the story of the fall, Lucifer was not the ugly devil that you might picture now, but was in fact the most beautiful and intelligent of the angels. So, and yet the most deceptive. So this is why we need to be discriminating, because what may appear beautiful on the outside may turn out to be, I was going to say unredeemably wicked on the inside, but we'll perhaps moderate that slightly. Let's hope that nobody is unredeemable. That would be a terrible thing to wish upon anybody. Assuming, of course, all that kind of thing's true. Anyway, I've talked about that in other videos and my views on that. And these are only opinions, of course. But you can understand that much of what you see is alluring. It's sort of pretty rather than beautiful, in a sense. It's garish. It doesn't have much behind it. It's sort of something of an illusion. And we get sucked into this world. And so this is where, as I say, we need the discrimination. We've got the good, the beautiful, and the true. And you could say the same is true of good. That an action done with the wrong motive isn't truly good. Or an action which appears good but yields a harmful result may indicate that that action isn't good. So it's a minefield to be naive. But it's this act of discrimination, or call it critical thinking, which is what can make the difference. It means that at least under these various circumstances, you're doing your best. You're trying to achieve an understanding of the truth. And as I've said in previous videos, truth and integrity are obviously characteristics which align. This path is rather slippy, which is why the camera might be going all over the place. So it's all part of the same search, isn't it? And I mean, even in something ugly, there may be something good, and may well be something that reflects the truth. So we definitely need to sort of do more than be like the camera and simply take it in. I mean, another thing the camera can do, or at least the intelligence artificial behind the camera, there's something that it can do. It will look for similarities. It can do that. It can find something, like you have, you look up something and you get an image, and you get these other things which you may also be interested in because they are superficially similar, or maybe quite similar. But it's not really a thought process. That's just happening automatically. Even with AI, I don't believe it's a thought process, not in the way that humans have it. So what is it that humans have which I believe AI doesn't have? just want to show you this scene, see if I can get myself out of the way a little bit. Even in this darkness you can see the autumn colours there. I think that a human can have a genuine sense of aesthetics, whereas an AI system, I'll just use that from now on, AI, I won't bother fussing about whether it is AI or not, will only have a sort of imitation of an aesthetic or a simulation. It will appear to have an aesthetic eye, but in fact it's just mechanical. And I guess humans can be mechanical as well. They find an idea they like and they apply it to everything. I think that's one of the things that we do. I mean, for instance, you may find that some artists will find a particular line of pictures, a certain aesthetic, and it sells. So they churn out a whole lot of pictures with that sort of look. And at some stage along the line, well, we call them pot boilers, but at some stage along the line you lose genuine interest in it. And I mean, I must admit, in the past I attempted to do that simply to sell a few more pictures, but I didn't like doing it, and I simply couldn't do it for long. So I mean, I think this is how the human works, or certainly how I as a human work, and maybe it's a general thing, you have to see if you can relate it to yourself, that if you are doing something mechanically, you're not there in a way. If you have a boring and repetitive job, it simply becomes automatic, because in a way to be there is actually painful. I mean, I've done boring and mechanical jobs, so I know of what I speak. So when we're looking at what we deem to be good, beautiful or true, it's this engagement of a higher faculty, critical thought, but it's guided by consciousness. There's this strange phenomenon which is behind the eyes, which we have, whether what's out there is good or bad, true, false, whatever. It's the watcher that has been described in such things as the Indian Gita or the Vedas. I think it was it doesn't matter anyway. The point is the idea of the watcher who just sees it all happening. Now, the thing about thinking is that it can either be purely associative, in other words, you just go one thing to the other, and we all naturally do this, so it's not like it's a crime, but we do this, we just sort of go from one thing to another, and often our heart isn't really in the conversation. We know we're recycling crap, basically, stuff that we may not have thought about, or stuff which simply justifies our position. I wish I could change this and it wouldn't need a new video, but look at these lovely trees up here. Look at those autumn colours. Pity the sun isn't out. They wanted to build a road through here, I think. Oh well. Anyway, I've slightly lost my thread now. A bit stupid doing that. But yes, we can head into that mechanical type of thinking. A lot of people appear to do that. They just ramble on and it's all associative. There's nothing going on behind it. So obviously the way out of that is to form the habit of, in a sense, watching yourself, of thinking about what you're doing and also about what you're feeling. I mean, it seems a common experience, and of course I have fallen into it. You're in a bad mood and you don't really question why you're in that bad mood, or you come up with some rather feeble excuse for it, like somebody else annoyed me. Doesn't necessarily occur to you, well, actually perhaps I set that situation up slightly, or maybe I'm actually enjoying being in a bad mood. It gives me an excuse to be angry and horrible to everybody else. So once you reveal yourself to yourself, you can't really do that anymore. But back to what I was talking about in the first video, about how we watch something and our nervous system sort of reacts to it, even to the point of moving the necessary muscles. So when you watch, say, I used to hate EastEnders, for instance, because it was all such emotional crap. I mean, I hardly watched it because I was pretty soon turned off. But with a lot of things, a lot of YouTube videos and whatever, you're just watching emotional nonsense. You're watching people indulge in negative activity, and in a way you're learning, particularly if you're a small child, and you're learning to react in that way to certain things. In other words, you're being programmed. And yes, when I was a young man and a boy, I was no doubt being programmed by the television I saw, and of course by the people around me, but it was very much less intense then. As a young boy, I also spent a lot of time out in the woods on my own or with my friends, doing what I pleased, finding creative and naughty things to get up to, often inspired by what I'd seen on the television. So there's another clue to things, that when we watch a program, we are quite possibly being programmed, unless consciousness is using our intellectual capacity, which is on a slightly lower level, to compensate for that or to understand it. So I'll stop that video here, because I think that is something which you could think about. Thank you for watching.